Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Today I'm in a SKODA Yeti. Sorry, I've pronounced Skoda wrong there, haven't I? You're supposed to say it, I believe, as if you're doing a bad Sean Connery impression. So it's SKODA. SKODA. Like shaken, not stirred. Shaken, not stirred. Anyway, the SKODA Yeti is quite a weird vehicle. It's been around since 2009, and I've always liked them in a weird sort of way. Now, because I only deal in used cars, I don't exactly have my finger on the pulse of the new car world, so I didn't realise that they'd axed the Yeti. As of 2017, the Yeti was no more, which I think was a big mistake on Skoda's part, because they've replaced it with just another bland and forgettable small SUV. Skoda had something here with the Yeti that nobody else had, nobody else could compete with. And yet they got rid of it and replaced it with just another boring crossover. Doesn't make much sense, does it? The Yeti was a bit odd, but I say that in the nicest possible way, because they're quite quirky and they stand out from the crowd. I mean, it isn't that revolutionary, it shares a lot of parts with the Golf, so I don't want to get carried away. The boot is huge, perfect if you've got dogs, even if those dogs are St. Bernards. The seats fold down flat, and with those seats flat, it turns itself into a caddy van. It's really spacious and practical, which is perfect if you've got to take your kids to a fancy dress party and they've decided to dress up as Abraham Lincoln. Up front you get a spacious, sensibly laid out cabin. It's quite light and airy thanks to the tall roof and the panoramic glass roof. The quality of everything's very good. I've got a nice leather steering wheel, I've got an armrest here that's quite comfortable. Everything's sort of where you'd expect it to be. You've got a couple of cup holders, USB and auxiliary points. I mean, this one's even got heated seats and sat-nav, so it really is as well spec'd as a lot of Mercedes. Everything you touch is typical VW group. Everything feels sturdy and solid and well built. They do a vast range of engines too, ranging from a 1.2 litre 4-cylinder petrol turbo engine all the way up to a 2 litre turbo diesel, which is in this model today. Now, I would opt for the 2 litre turbo diesel because it produces 140 horsepower and it's quite a torquey engine. On top of that, it's very efficient. It just works well with this kind of workhorse vehicle. Plus, I'm not a huge fan of VW petrol engines. I personally think they're a little bit unreliable. They always burn quite a bit of oil. So you're better off going for the diesel, because VW diesel engines, although there was a whole scandal about emissions, they are very good. They also offer a 1.6 litre diesel, which they call the Green Line, which does about 1 million miles per gallon and costs threepence to tax. But they're quite slow, no good if you want to use this as a tow vehicle. So in my opinion, you want to go for the 2 litre diesel. The model I'm in today is also 4-wheel drive. See what I mean about it being a bit of an oddity? Who would think that that would sell? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it, but it is quite niche, isn't it? I really like that the Yeti isn't comparable to anything else. Skoda stuck the neck out with this design and it paid off. Or at least I think it did. I'm in third gear now and this thing pulls. It revs up to about 4,000 RPM. I'm still in fourth and I've just hit 70 miles per hour. This is a 6-speed manual. They also offer it in a DSG automatic, but again, I would go for the manual personally. It's better if you're planning on using this to tow anything. It's quite a windy day today, but you can hear quite a bit of wind noise as you sat here at 70 miles an hour. But it rides very well, it's not too firm at all. It's quite a comfortable ride. Even in 6th gear on the motorway with low revs, you've got enough power to overtake. So let's talk about the styling then, shall we? I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's quite a weird looking thing, but I quite like it. It's not offensive. I don't hate it like I hate a Nissan Juke. I think it just looks quite dependable and trustworthy, if you know what I mean. I've noticed that people let you out of side roads when you're driving this, in ways that they don't do when you're driving a Porsche or Range Rover. The Yeti had a minor facelift in 2014. This particular model is a 2017, which is one of the last ever Yetis made. There isn't a huge amount of difference between the pre-facelift and the facelift Yeti, only that the lines got sort of sharper and straighter and just a little bit crisper in general. So what's it like to drive? I say this in the nicest possible way, but it's a little bit forgettable. It feels like driving an Audi A3 or a VW Golf. It's alright. It's front wheel drive, so it handles like any other front wheel drive car. Even though it's quite a tall car, there's not much body roll. I like the 6-speed manual gearbox. Another thing, because it sits a little bit higher, it's easier to get in and out of than a Golf. And it's also easier to spot when you leave the supermarket. Also, the 4-wheel drive version is perfect if you live in a fairly rural area like I do. It gives you a bit of confidence knowing that if it snows, you'll probably make it home whereas your neighbour will get his silly Nissan Juke stuck. I don't want to oversell this part-time four-wheel drive system because it's no good if you plan on doing the Paris-Dakar rally. But for general pottering around out here in the sticks, it's pretty capable. They're pretty cheap to run too. If you opt for a diesel, you'll average 45 miles per gallon, or 55 on a motorway run. They're low on insurance because, well, I mean, who's going to nick one? They're cheap to tax too. They're also cheap to repair. A standard oil change on something like this is going to cost you 60 quid. One thing to mention, you do need to replace the timing belts every 5 years, or I think 60,000 miles, so that's worth bearing in mind. That's going to cost you about £250 to replace the timing belt and water pump. In terms of reliability, they're pretty good. If you change the oil on this every 10,000 miles and keep up with the timing belt replacement, it will last for many years. You can also wave to other Yetis in traffic. Hey! The driving position is very good because you sit a little bit higher up so you can see all around you. The windows and the sides are completely slab-sided, so everything's at 90 degrees. You know exactly where the back of the car ends because it's like a van. I like Skodas though in general. It was a very clever idea that VW had. And of course when the recession hit 10 or 12 years ago, they sold in big numbers because people wanted a new car but they didn't want to spend too much. You can buy a brand new Skoda and people don't assume that you're rich, which is a good thing. It just flies under the radar, it's totally inoffensive, and I like that. Prices for used Yetis for a high mileage early 2009 model start at a couple of grand. Now if you find one with good service records that's had its cam belt done once or twice, then you're onto a winner. If your budget can stretch, you're probably better off going for a facelift model from 2014 onwards that's done fewer miles. Then it will last you many years. For one like this, a 2017 four-wheel drive model with 35,000 miles on the clock, with sat-nav and heated seats, it will set you back between 12 and 13 grand. This one isn't mine, by the way, so I'm not purposely pushing my own stock. This belongs to a friend of mine. But no, I just think they're very good cars. And if you need something practical that's also four-wheel drive, but you don't want the running costs of a big Range Rover, then this could be perfect. So to sum up, I think it's a cracking car. With its quirky looks and its spacious interior, I can't really think of anything else that you could compare it to. It really would make an excellent family car. So thanks once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'll leave the link down here somewhere. If you've got any questions or comments, let me know and I'll do my best to get back to you. So cheers guys, see you next time.